Hey everyone, Hassan here. You are listening to the NintendoFuse podcast. Today is March 12th, 2018, and this is episode number 146, entitled Happy Anniversary Nintendo Switch. Woo-hoo! It has been 1 year, and we're gonna celebrate a little bit and talk about the first year of the Switch and some other things as well. So joining me as always, I have Steve here.
Hey guys, I'm excited about this too. It's been a great year with the Nintendo Switch.
Indeed it has. We got Greg as well.
Hey everyone. Next Nintendo Direct is this week, right?
Oh yeah, no, we got to talk some about that stuff right there. And we also have Barry.
Hey guys.
So we got a bunch of things to talk about tonight. So we got the Nintendo Direct that happened recently. We're going to talk about the first year of the Switch. A whole bunch of different things as well. And I also do have something I want to say at the end of the podcast, but I'll hold that until the end. But for anybody that is watching, we do encourage you to participate with us live during the show. So if you head to NintendoFuse.com, you can see the details on how to call into the podcast and participate. If you call in and use TalkShoe, there's a chat there. Or if you're watching us on Google Hangouts, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you can just type in the chat there as well. Shout out to Alex Desmarais, who was in the chat as well. So anybody out there, say hi. We'll read your comments, whether it's the Nintendo Direct or whatever else we talk about tonight. Definitely say hi. So to kick things off, we're going to be talking about a new thing that Nintendo has now implemented, which involves MyNintendo. So for the longest time, MyNintendo and Nintendo Switch, there wasn't really much there, much benefits for Switch owners. So they've decided to implement the ability to use your MyNintendo Gold points, your gold coins, when purchasing Nintendo Switch digital games. So essentially, any physical game that you purchase, you get like 1% back. Digital titles, you get 5% back. So basically, every gold coin that you get is the equivalent of 1 cent. And then these gold coins, when you actually go to purchase something from the Nintendo eShop now, then you have the ability to use your gold coins as money, basically. So, you basically every digital game that you buy, you might get a couple of dollars worth that you can essentially then apply to another game, that sort of thing. Nothing major, but it's something at least. It's something. What do you guys think? Do you guys even have MyNintendo Gold coins to spend, or do you have like 2 cents worth, or like? What do you guys think?
Yeah, funny thing you said. I'm gonna leave all the difference in physical and Barry. The difference. Funny there, like, right? Yeah. The differences between physical and digital up to Barry, because I know he's gonna have some things to say about that. What I want to talk about is what you actually said there at the very end there, Hassan, is that hopefully you get a couple dollars from your purchases. That would make great sense if I was to get a couple dollars from my digital purchases, but that is not what I'm getting. I'm getting cents is what I'm getting. And it all adds up, and all the digital purchases I've gotten, I'm pretty sure I have less than $5, and almost all of my games are digital. And so while I'm finally excited that there's something there for Switch, it is next to nothing. And that's saddening, I think, because they could be so much more. I mean, it was better. I feel like they did better in the past. I do like the incentive to go digital, because I think that makes sense with the plan they have. But the difference between them is drastic, and still you're not getting much at all from this. So it's like it's really just pennies. I mean, like 1 coin is 1 penny, and it's like, yeah, they could be doing so much more with this. And so great that we have something, but it's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people that like, hey, they're giving something for free, why do you complain about it? But it's almost like they didn't offer us anything at all. Like, that's, I guess, my thinking behind it. It's like, I don't know. I hate to like think of any like metaphors for it, because I feel like I would like downplay other things, because this is not that important. I know, grand scheme of things, people are dying of world hunger, and I'm complaining that Nintendo is not giving me enough for my purchases. I understand. However, it could be better. It could be a lot better. So that's my thoughts.
You terrible person, Steve.
I do want to mention one thing that I did forget to say is I think they actually did slightly change the amount of gold coins that you do actually also get with games going forward now. So roughly it'll equate to, going forward now, a $60 game that you purchase. If you get a physical copy, you're going to be getting basically 60 coins worth, so 60 cents. If you buy a digital, it's 300 coins, so basically $3. So essentially for $60 games digitally, you're getting $3 back, or if it's retail, 60 cents back, basically. Yeah. So,
I am glad they changed it going forward. But yeah, my past purchases, like I've got nothing from those. But it is nice to at least to get $3. But yeah, it'd be, because I think I remember before, was it with Wii U and 3DS, you got basically like $5 back for a game, and that was cool. Like, I don't know, I just feel like $3.60 is like, that's pitiful. Like for people like Barry that collect everything, like, wow, 60 cents.
Did they change it? Because I see another problem with this whole thing is you have a year from the release date to actually activate the coins, and the coins expire. So I was holding off, waiting, until to get the most of my money, because I don't know when I'm going to use the coins. So it's like, oh, that 1 year point's coming on. So I grabbed all my launch games and I went ahead to activate, and I got 10 freaking gold coins each. 10 cents. Thank you for purchasing a $60 game. Here's a dime. Which is just, I would rather get nothing than
you got moved up from 10 cents to 60 cents.
Yeah. They changed it after the year mark. So all of us early adopters who got it on launch, even if we waited the max day, which I did, nope, here's a dime. Thank you, Nintendo. Thank you so much. And thank you for making physical worth less than digital, because you already hate us. Let's hate on us more. Just do it. Why not? Screw you.
They could put them all as they only have so many physical games. You have to get them from a specific store, and you only get 10 cents back. How about that?
Yeah. Well, you know what? To be fair, Nintendo is the only company I know of, and correct me, I could be wrong, but the only company I know of to actually sell out of a digital game. I don't know if you remember when Earthbound went on the Wii U, it was sold out shortly thereafter for a digital game. Like, if Nintendo can do that, I guess they can throw a dime in our face and say, thank you for being loyal. Would you like another? Because and the fact that it expires in a year. You can't, any game, like if you buy Zelda now, even brand new, I don't think you can get those coins anymore because Zelda released 3.3. On top of that, the coins, what is it, 6 months before they expire? So I have 6 months now to use 60 cents. Wow. Great. You can't even let me carry that over until maybe I build up enough for a $2.99 game or something? No, screw you. This whole system is terrible. It is so terrible, and it's just a slap in the face of anybody who purchases games, especially physical. It's just terrible. They're so out of touch. That's all. 60 cents for 6 games. Yay.
What about you, Greg?
Well, I was gonna talk about that part, but Barry got to jump in and steal that part of it. But I did want to say that at least it's something that you can actually spend the coins on, instead of how those digital guides, themes, background pictures. No, none of that stuff is worth 20 gold coins, and I've already had some expire because there's literally nothing else to get. So while I am getting whatever pennies, dollars off of a game, it's better that I'm spending it on that instead of them just expiring. So yeah, I am happy to be able to have a use for them.
What I was going to say is I agree with you, Greg, but here's the kicker. The platinum coins or whatever, the silver coins, the ones that you get, from like the mobile games, that at least had a game with Twilight Princess Picross that you can buy. So with the coins that you get commonly, there's actually a game you can use them on because you gain enough coins. You can't even do that with gold coins. Even I think if you had every digital game, you might be able to purchase one digital game. And that's terrible.
Well, yeah, I mean, they did have a couple ones for gold coins, but they were for Wii U and 3DS, and it was
Yeah.
like games you likely already had to begin with, but they haven't really had any Switch offerings.
Right, and I think I agree with you, Greg. There were so many times that I had coins, just expiring because I didn't want to use them on crap, and so sometimes I used it, sometimes I didn't. And the things that I bought, they're just sitting there. Like I had a wallpaper one time, but I just feel like I had to use them. So it is nice that you can use them for something like beyond just their small library of things that I don't want. But I think it'd be great if they do eventually build that out and do both, I guess, to allow us to use it on the existing eShop games, but to also have some sort of catalog of other things that we can get with it as well. And hopefully that gets better and it's not just, first chapters of game guides, because that's not good enough. But it would be nice to have both. But I do, if I'm going to have the choice of one or the other, I like this choice better than what we had before. Which was actually nothing for the Switch, but some of those things for 3DS and Wii U and mobile and everything, I like this better. But it would be nice to some of the really cool things like back in Club Nintendo. I think that's really cool stuff. I want to bring that stuff back.
Yeah, those wallpapers, by the way, I'm sure you could just Google the image and find it by now. I'm sure they're all free. But that's the thing that sucks.
I've gotten a couple of the wallpapers because there is nothing else to get. I was like, I need to or my points are going to expire. So now I have Mario Kart wallpapers and I don't even know what else.
See, now if this was their first foray into doing this, I could semi-look the other way. But Club Nintendo was so good. And most importantly, it offered physical goods. The statues, there was the gold nunchuck, and the digital games they did offer were exclusive. There was the Doc Lewis Punch-Out game and stuff like that. They actually gave you a reason to open up a game and register that code. They went from a system that worked, that people liked, that people collect merchandise for. They even did 2 Game & Watch collections for the DS that were exclusive through Club Nintendo, and they were physical. But so they went from that until here's 10 cents on your $60 purchase. Have a nice day.
Well, no, the Wii U had the deluxe digital program, and that was like 10%. So like right now, if you buy digital, you get 5%. So it's like a middle ground kind of in between.
Well, I mean, the Wii U program was terrible too compared to Club Nintendo. All this stuff since they ended Club Nintendo has been worse than Club Nintendo, and that's the kicker. Usually, if you end one program, you bring it up with a program that's better. You learn from your mistakes. You don't say, "Hey, you know what? We have this car, and it's got these 4 round wheels, and we can move at 100 miles an hour. I know. Let's take them off and make square wheels." Let's see how that goes. And then when you realize you're sputtering, you say, we need rhombus wheels. That's what's going to take us. No. That's not how you do it. And that's what Nintendo is doing. And that's why this system is terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely a downgrade from the previous systems. And I don't know. Who knows if they'll make it better in time. At this point, I keep my expectations low when it comes to this kind of stuff from Nintendo. But the one point I did want to make, and this may be a little unpopular with Barry, but the fact that digital games do give you more coins than physical copies, I think does actually make sense, because a lot of times with physical games, you can get them at a discount at launch or soon after, whereas digital games are typically at launch full price. So in this way, you're getting, I guess, $60 game, you're getting $3 back. So it's something there. So it's kind of that give and take to at least offer something similar for the consumers that are going for the digital versions of the games. But that being said, I think the actual values that they're giving are not really good at all, because obviously, I mean, even 60 cents is ridiculous. So I think they need to up that up. But, the difference, the fact that there is a difference makes sense to me. What the actual values is does not. So that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yep.
So going along the lines of we're talking about these gold coins that nobody probably really even has, but if you do happen to have gold coins, or at least a portion that you can contribute towards purchase, because basically think of it as like a little bit of a discount, a couple cents off of a game or something like that. So we thought we'd put together a list. Mike from the team thought of this idea that we can each suggest some games that are available on the eShop that you can maybe go and use some of these gold coins on. As well. So we each picked 2 games. So I'll kick things off with my 2 choices, which were Picross S and Sonic Mania. Picross S, I'm a big fan of Picross. It's one of those puzzle games that's pretty easy to get into, but can get a little complex at times. But it's nice. It's a game that I kind of boot up every now and then and play a couple minutes here and there. Very nice to have on the Switch. Sonic Mania we've talked about in the past as well. Pretty fun game and kind of brings you back to the old school Sonic, and worth picking up on the go on the Switch. What about you, Steve? What are some picks from the eShop?
So 2 of my picks are really 2 of my favorites on the eShop right now. The very beginning, we talked about this in our top 10 on our rundown. In fact, I talked about it on the video that we posted, was Snipperclips, Cut It Out Together. One of my favorite games on the Switch. It actually made it into I think it was number 3 for Switch games for 2017. It's just a great puzzle game. It's new and it's exciting. You can play with 2 players. You can even play up to 4 players. It's one of the games that my wife and I still play together quite a bit. We've completed, I think, almost all of it. But now that they have extra levels and everything out there, they sent out the expansion, and you can get it physical, but it was originally digital only. And yeah, it's just a really, really fun puzzle game that is challenging, but not too challenging where you're like trying to like pull out your hair, but it's challenging enough where I can get this. I can figure this out. And it's just really fun. And then the other game is Rocket League. It's probably the game that I played the most on my Switch. It's the one that I just keep firing up. I've had it on other systems, and it was probably the game that I played the most on my PlayStation. Is the game that I played most on my Xbox, and now it's probably become the game that I play the most on my Switch. I probably put more hours into Zelda or Mario, but I don't fire them up as much as I do Rocket League. If I have just a few minutes here and there, Rocket League's what I'm firing up, and it's great to play. It's great to play single player, but it's really, really fun to play online and get some online matches in there. There's so many different games you can play within it. You can play the traditional, regular soccer, but then you can also play the hockey, basketball. There's all these different variations and everything there too. So yeah, it's like soccer and RC cars come together, and it's a blast. So definitely recommend both of those.
Both good titles for sure. What about you, Greg?
Both of my titles were from our Game of the Year podcast. They were both very excellent games that released last year as well. Cannot say enough about SteamWorld Dig 2. That's a terrific follow-up to the original 3DS version, which actually just released on Switch in the last month or so. Definitely a very fun game to check out. You can explore the underground massive mines, collect gems, upgrade your pickaxe, get your light, and do all sorts of crazy stuff. They've added in like boss battles, tons of stuff to do. It's an excellent game. I strongly recommend it. The other title was the game chat that me and Barry did. It'll Do 2 Plus. Again, that was a sequel from another system, the Wii U this time. But it's basically like a 2D version of like a Legend of Zelda type game. You go around exploring, defeating monsters, collecting a few different items, and solving dozens and dozens of puzzles. And everything gets very, very difficult towards the end, and it's very worth it to go through it all. It's very fun, very enjoyable. Definitely highly recommend it for anyone that likes those action adventure type games where you have like almost a 2D Legend of Zelda experience.
Nice. Very cool. What about you, Barry?
My 2 picks also came from our Game of the Year podcast, and I specifically took 2 games that you can only get digital as of now. That may change later on. But in the spirit of using these wonderful gold coins, all 60 cents of them, I picked Blaster Master Zero, which is a remake of the original from the Nintendo days. It's a really cool exploration 2D Metroidvania style game that also shifts to a top-down perspective, whether you're in the Blaster Master or not. Run and gun, tons of different weapons. You can roll up walls, puzzles, multiple endings. It's a blast, and it's done by Inti Creates. So if you're familiar with their work, they do great job. And then there's DLC character packs where you can be like Shantae and run around in it, or I think Shovel Knight's in there. So it's really cool. It adds all this extra replay. The other game I picked is Thimbleweed Park, which I don't think gets enough attention. If you like Maniac Mansion or Adventure or Secret of Monkey Island or stuff like that, this is from the creator of those games. It is an old school PC style adventure game where you point and click where you want to go, and you're solving there's a murder, and you're trying to figure out who's responsible, and you have to interview all these people in the town. And while you're going through that, something starts feeling off, and it becomes very X-Files like, and you get multiple playable characters, and the story just gets more and more out there, and the ending is very meta, and it's just worthwhile play. And if you like that style game, you really need to check it out.
Very cool. Very cool. Lots of different diverse types of games here. And then from Mike, he actually also sent in 2 titles that he wanted me to mention as well. So one of his picks was Blossom Tales: The Sleeping King. He said that on top of reviewing it, I did heavily enjoy the story and its diverse gameplay. It feels like an old-fashioned Zelda title while being modern enough to feel fresh. It's a game well worth picking up on the eShop. And his second pick was Crypt of the Necrodancer. This rhythm roguelike title has you battling through randomly generated dungeons in order to defeat the Necrodancer. This is a game I grew very fond of and have well over 300 hours between 3 different versions of the game. The music is addicting and will have you humming for hours after you stop playing. I highly recommend anyone picks up this version of the game, as it does include the amplified DLC that is separate on other platforms. So there you go. So a variety of different types of games available on the eShop to spend your 60 coins on, and so on. So going forward, of course, we'll get more gold coins than in the past, but at least there's something.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about is the eShop is that Nintendo has really been pouring into indie developers, and we've talked about this before. But I love how there's just such a wide array of different types of games that is on the eShop. I mean, we talked about 10 games, and all of them are different from each other. And there were several adventure games, but they're not all like cookie cutter sort of adventure games. They're different types, and we have different types of puzzle games, and we have like things like Rocket League, which is like a sports kind of sort of game, and then all these different types of really cool innovative games that are on there. And so I love what Nintendo is doing with the eShop. It'd be cool if they figure out the MyNintendo thing, but when you do eventually get enough coins racked up, there's definitely a lot of really cool stuff out there that you can spend it on.
Yeah, and plus they've continued this release of like 10 plus titles week after week after week after week. It's constantly new stuff, constantly lots of stuff coming. Even titles that have never appeared on Nintendo platforms they're shining the day, like Super Meat Boy and other games like that, Undertale. It's great to see a lot of the stuff is coming along. So
yeah, for sure. It's definitely continued support for the Switch, which is great to see. I'm going to give a shout out to Taylor Homewood. What's up, Taylor? He's hopped into the chat as well. He said, I've almost beaten all of Picross. So he's also enjoying that title. Alex Desmarais also talking about some stuff a little bit later in terms of the Direct. He's saying, nothing on Yoshi. So, interesting there. But we'll talk about the Direct in a little while. Before we get to that, though, March 3rd, right, was the anniversary of the Nintendo Switch. It's been 1 year, which is pretty crazy. It's been an amazing year for the Switch. So I kind of wanted to sort of look back and just kind of reflect on that year and what we thought about the system. I mean, I know me personally, the Switch is absolutely incredible. I love it. I mean, just to think that in its first year, we got a brand new Mario, brand new Zelda, We got versions of Mario Kart and Splatoon. We got some new IPs from Nintendo like ARMS and so many other great games that were included in that, and just the support from indies and third parties, and it's been pretty awesome, and just the appeal of the system, right? I mean, just the portability, but being able to dock it is so cool. I mean, I've got obsessed with Joy-Cons, so I got the Joy-Con fever. I mean, just the whole package of the system has been incredible. I mean, it's been I can't think of a better first year for a Nintendo system. Like, I'm trying to go back at all the other systems. I can't think of a better first year. What about you guys? What did you think of the first year of the Switch?
Yeah, this thing doesn't really look a day over 2 months. It's so actually the Joy-Cons are newer, but yeah, I think it's been a really, really good first year, especially because I think in the beginning, there were so many people that were not so sure about the launch lineup and all these different things, and we talked all about all that stuff here, and there have been other systems from other companies that have done better in their launch, but Nintendo's always kind of had a weaker sort of launch lineup, I think, for most of their systems, if not all of them. But we were kind of hopeful, and I know why we were hopeful now, kind of being on the other side of this year. Like you said, some really great games, and I cannot remember ever having a Nintendo system with this many great games within the first year that there's so many. I mean, we had to pare it down for our top 10 that we released here on our YouTube channel for the top 10 for its first year. And we had a ton of games. I think there were 25 that everybody put together. We had to pare down to 10. And then that's only counting. We really looked at the big titles. And then you have all the eShop titles that I was talking about just a second ago. And yeah, there's a lot out there now. So while it might have started kind of weak, we have a great lineup now. I think there's still some things that need to be finished. Clearly, the online stuff, they can tweak the MyNintendo stuff and things like that do need to be tweaked over time and fixed. But overall, I'm very pleased with this first year.
What about you, Greg?
This first year has been very incredible. I mean, just starting with the launch, just seeing everybody picking it up on launch day and how excited everyone was to see it, and Zelda was the talk of the town, and starting to reminiscent of the Wii days where people had trouble finding the system in stores, and then fast forward, all these games just keep coming out. You can truly see they learned their lesson from the Wii U and 3DS launches of having these months of dry spells, and they just kept going with a new major title every single month for the entire year. And then that continued the hardware sales, and that got more third parties on board to see how much it was been selling. And then not even before the year was up, it passed the lifetime sales of the Wii U. I mean, just speaks volumes of the quality of content and the success of this type of hybrid type console. It's been really great. I just can't wait to see what more comes in the next years down the line. So
yeah, for sure. What about you, Barry?
I'm going to start by prefacing everything I say with I love the Switch. I absolutely love it. I've spent so many hours on this system. It is awesome. But I'm going to do something a little different than what Steve and Hassan and Greg have done, which is praise, completely unabashed praise. I'm going to be devil's advocate. The Switch has taught us that Nintendo has learned some of their lessons, but they still have made several mistakes that they're continuing to make, and I do think need to be addressed, because this high, because it really is, it's a high, it's a first year high, and it's incredible, and they clearly want to ride it into next year. They already said they want to do 20 million units this year, and they could do that, especially with some of the announcements from the Direct. However, there are some blunders. There are significant blunders. Some that they can't do anything about, like the system is underpowered, which directly hurts third-party support, because Nintendo has always been able to make great games on their hardware that utilize their hardware. This is a fact. Every system. But third parties is where they struggle. And had they made it a little bit more powerful, it would have made porting a little easier. That being said, we've had some great ports. Doom, Skyrim, LA Noire, Resident Evil, but they're ports. And we only had one third-party exclusive title to the Switch the first year, which was Mario and Rabbids, and that was using a Nintendo property to begin with. Another thing is, to help these third parties, Nintendo needs to communicate with them. They fit Mario Odyssey in such level, like 2 gig or something like that, something really, really tiny, and like 1/10 of the size of a save file from NBA 2K18. The entire game of Mario Odyssey is like 1/10 of a save file from NBA 2K18. Have not communicated with third party how to utilize this compression, because most third-party games have that wonderful white box along the top. SD card is required, and I think if Nintendo were to communicate better with third parties, we would have less of that and more full games on carts, full games that don't take so much memory just to save your game. And I think that is a problem that needs to be addressed. Another problem is the size of the carts. And I know if you're digital, you don't care about this, but for physical people, they have a larger cart. I think they have 16 gig and 32 gig now. And there's a 64 gig cart. And they said, oh, we're going to hold off on producing it, even though they have it already. And there are third parties that are like, give us the 64 gig cart. We'll give you a bigger game. And the Nintendo's like, nope, we're not going to do it. And to me, that's just a misstep. You don't have to use it. Put it out there for third party. You're so friendly with indie. Be friendly with third party. I'll be honest with you. An indie game isn't going to truly sell a console to the mass market. Celeste is a great third indie game that just came out. I've heard nothing but praise. But Joe Schmo down the corner is not going to pick up a Switch just for Celeste. But if the new Call of Duty, for example, doesn't come on the Switch, full, everything included, Joe Schmo, who does know that, may say, oh, man, I'd love to have Call of Duty on the go, but no, I'll just pick it up on the PS4. Why should I spend an extra $300 if I'm going to get a gimped version? We already saw that with FIFA 18. So, to me, Nintendo has done a great job in marketing, has done a great job in supply, and has done a great job in first-party games. Like Hassan said, new Zelda, new Mario. We had new Xenoblade Chronicles. We had new Splatoon. We had some great ports like Mario Kart and Pokken. We had new IP like 1-2 Switch and ARMS. It's great to see these things, but they're not, out of the woodwork yet. 2017 was a telling year. 2018 is going to really, really be a telling year, because this is going to be the make or break year. If third parties start to slip off like they did with the Wii U, we're going to have a repeat. If third parties ramp up like they did with the Wii, we're going to have a much better year. So while the system is great, and I personally love it from an objective standpoint, there are mistakes they're making. And I'm not even getting into the online or the voice chat, because that's a whole new can of worms. That is another misstep. And then of course there's the gold point system, which is another misstep. Like they're making for every great strive they're making all these other missteps, and some people are overlooking them, and I think they need to be addressed. We don't need to praise, we need to criticize constructively to get them to right their ways.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that we talked about is that we've already had the Mario and Zelda and all these big games that are already out in its first year, and we know we're going to talk about in just a little bit all these big games that are going to come out in its second year. But beyond that, I mean, we know those games take time. They have taken time. Games like Pikmin, I mean, we've only gotten 3 of them so far. So they take time to develop and everything, and Nintendo puts a lot of time and effort into it, and I'm so grateful that they do, because we get really good quality games. But if we're only relying on their games to keep it going, man, we're going to run out. And all of a sudden we're going to get into year 3 and go, wow, that's a big drought if we don't get the third party support to keep it going over the long haul. So I agree with you, Greg, or with Barry. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things that we have to keep it up over the long haul. They did a great job, I think, launching into it, but let's make some of those changes so that we can keep it going a lot longer than just a really cool first year.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's one of those things that we'll have to see what happens and see where things go from here. Lots of great stuff happened in the first year. Lots of room for improvement. There's, could go both ways. So we'll just have to kind of look ahead and see, what comes of it in the future. So, and we'll be talking about some stuff that at least gives us an idea in the next few months or so what's going to happen. So we'll see what comes with that. Moving on to, in the chat. So we had asked, what are some of your favorite games from the first year? So Taylor Homewood said Picross, Mario Kart 8, and FIFA 18. Yes, I enjoyed it. I actually thought about picking up FIFA at one point. Never did, but yeah,
it's a good game.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, it's got its faults, but I enjoy it. I love playing. Like, I love almost all the soccer games, but I love having a pretty much not all the way, but pretty much a full FIFA game on the go. And I think that was the cool thing to be able to take that with me. And it's getting better. It's not like it's not full out crap that they put out the last couple of years on Wii U or Wii, but hopefully they keeps making some progress in the right way. But it's a fun game for sure.
But see, FIFA 18 is one of those that was cannibalized by the power of the Switch, because the new one was on the Frostbite engine, and the Switch can't handle it. Here's another kicker about FIFA. I believe FIFA was also put out in the 360 and the PS3. So they were easily able to take that version over. Next year, if there is no FIFA 19 on the 360 and PS3 and they full go PS4, Xbox One only, is it worth their while to use this engine and develop it now strictly just for the Switch, or not at all? Because that's one of the reasons the Wii was so successful, is because companies were able to say, hey, if we need to build a Wii game, we can't use the 360 or the PS3 version. We need to use the Wii with a brand new engine because it's much less powerful. But they were able to take the Wii game that they make and then port it to the PS2, and then sometimes even the PS2 and the PSP, to subsidize, hey, you know what, we'll put it out there and make it worth our while to develop this game. Otherwise, when the PS2 died off and the PSP died off, you started seeing less and less third-party Wii games because it just wasn't worth their while. That's the same thing. The 360 and the PS3 are, in all essence, dead. They might get another sports game this year, maybe not. And without that backup, are we just going to get ports of more 360 PS3 games and people will call it support for the Switch? Or are we just going to say, you know what, the Switch is selling hotcakes, but FIFA 18 only sold, I don't know the number, let's say, 5,000 units, and the PS4 version and the Xbox One combined sold, 2 million, 10 million, whatever. FIFA's pretty big, so say 10 million. Well, is it worth developing all that, or just focus all our resources on the unit that sells 10 million units? It's probably not going to get one on the Switch. So that is something to consider, and maybe a hardware revision will be needed, like the new 3DS will need a higher power Switch. And don't call it a new Switch, Nintendo, please, for the love of God, don't call it a new Switch.
They're going to. It's going to happen.
Just because you said it. They listen to the podcast. I mean, with the way that the Nintendo Direct stuff happens all the time. So, I mean, of course, new Switch confirmed. No, I'm just kidding. But so I want to move on to the next topic, which is the Nintendo Direct. So if you haven't listened to the podcast in a while, it tends to be tradition that whenever we host a podcast, pretty much like in the following week or so, there's some sort of Nintendo Direct or something like that. Now, typically our podcasts are the first Monday of the month. So if we would have stuck to that schedule, it would have happened. But we had to change things up, so it's our fault for doing that. But there was a Nintendo Direct last week. But in essence now, and in turn, you guys now get to hear us talk about the Nintendo Direct much more sooner. So Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct, and I know we did a Direct chat on our YouTube channel as well, so you can go check that out to see more detailed thoughts. I want to talk in general, maybe a couple specific focuses, because obviously we got to talk about what happened at the end there. We got to talk about that little something.
To talk about. I don't know what you're talking about, Hassan.
Nothing
confirmed that you ever thought about anything like that.
We're going to the Arms Invitational. That's it, guys. We're going to Washington. That's what we're talking about here. We're gonna win it.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, Arms. What did you guys think I was gonna talk about? What?
I thought Splatoon was being ported to the 3DS.
So let's jump right to it, because obviously that's the main game that's on everyone's minds. Super Smash Brothers coming to Nintendo Switch. They did try and do that little fake out with the Inklings and everything. It was really interesting the way they did it, because going into this Nintendo Direct, there was a lot of rumors and different talk about different things that could happen. And one of the games that was brought up a lot of, which actually wasn't in the Direct at all, was Fire Emblem. So I was completely expecting Fire Emblem to be in this Direct. Like in my mind, like it was there. Like I was totally expecting it. I was hoping for Smash Brothers, but I was expecting Fire Emblem. So at the very end, when they said one more thing, I was like, oh, well, it has to be Fire Emblem because they haven't talked about it. And then I saw the Inklings. I was like, okay, it's Smash. At that point, I instantly knew they're doing Smash. And so Inkling Boy and Inkling Girl confirmed in Smash. Mario's back, obviously. Link is back, but in Breath of the Wild gear. And yeah, there's a lot of talk about, is this new or a port or not? And all indications seem to be that it's going to be a new game, potentially. Although granted, it will probably reuse a lot of assets from maybe the Wii U version or something like that. I mean, yeah, Smash Brothers coming to Switch this year, 2018. What do you guys think?
Of course, I'm excited. I have some friends that are also big Smash fans, and I was around one of them right as soon as I found out, and I was like, "Hey, guess what? They just announced that they're just coming to Switch," and she actually doesn't have one yet, and so she's like, "Oh, I got to get one now." So like we were talking, system sellers earlier. We talked about how these indie titles are not normally system sellers. Smash Brothers is one of those system sellers. It's going to be pushing even more sales into the holiday and beyond into 2019. It's going to happen. And so, Hassan, you're right on. I mean, it's a smart move for them. I didn't really think it was going to happen, but I do agree with the move. It's a very smart move. It's going to be pushing a lot more systems, and it's going to be good for them overall. Yeah, I'm glad that the Inklings are in it as well. I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I kind of go back and forth on is if I really care if it's a port or not. Because Smash Brothers is such a, I don't know, like other than some different modeling and stuff like that, and maybe like if they included a single player or not and stuff like that sort of thing matters. But overall, like the basic game is always the same. You just expand the roster, expand the amount of maps that you can play on. But so many of them do come back from past games, and that's just a typical thing. And I think that's really good and important. And I think it's one of those things that if they took the basic idea of the Wii U version and maybe pulled in some things that people really liked from Brawl and Melee, and maybe even the original as well, and just like made this deluxe version of like all the best pieces of all of it, but it was really even built on the same idea and just made it a little better, included all these different new aspects, I'd be okay with it. I don't think they necessarily need to build something from the ground up as a brand new game. I think kind of an enhanced deluxe pseudo port is okay with me. And I think I would still be incredibly pleased. So I don't really know what they're going to do, but I just know my opinion on it. I think I'd be totally okay if that's what they did. They just really enhanced what we have already and just made it better and blew it up. I think that's going to be great. But yeah, I think, like you said, everything seems to be leaning toward a new game. But what does that really mean? I don't really know. Like, at what point does it become a new game, I guess? And what point are we still thinking it's just an enhanced port? Or does that even matter? In my opinion, I don't think it does. I think for a game like Smash, like I don't really care in the end. I just love the fact that I'm getting Smash on my Switch. And that's going to be great for me.
What about you, Greg?
Yep, that was definitely a very exciting announcement that I had definitely could not seen coming. I mean, obviously when we talked about like previous predictions and stuff, I've never thought that Smash Brothers would even be in the realm of releasing this year. So as soon as like they were showing like the Inkling trailers, I was kind of like, oh, I guess it's another Splatoon DLC type thing. And then obviously when you see the Smash Ball logo, it's like, oh my goodness, it's actually coming. And then wow, it just very caught me very off guard is everything like about that. So definitely excited to see the Inklings in it. I think they do need some more gunner type characters. It'd be interesting to see how they'll work with the ink mechanics and stuff like that, like how it's going to do damage and movement around and everything. And then, as always, the Smash hype now is going to be really high. So like, every time they concluded the Nintendo Direct, it's like, oh, let's see who's joining Smash Brothers. It's like that's always like the best part of all the directs is just seeing everyone getting all excited. It's like, oh, look at this new character. Here's another new character, and then you already know there's going to be like at least 3 or 4 reveals at E3. So it'll be really nice to see like Mega Man and Sonic and some other ones come back, and hopefully that they'll try to keep most of the Wii U rosters mostly intact if they can, and just add on to it. But I guess time will tell as we learn more about the game. But yeah, definitely excited to play it on the go and have a new copy of Smash. We'll get obviously hundreds of hours just either playing by myself or playing against the amiibos or playing against friends and family. It'll be great to have wherever we go with it. So definitely very excited for it.
Okay, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Steve. I don't think it needs to be necessarily a new game or a port. What I would like to see, however, is for them to use the establishment that was Smash 4 and add on to it. I do not want to see any characters cut. I think Smash Brothers started a precedent with Melee to not cut any characters. All the original Smash, the original 12 came back, and most of the characters came for Brawl. And even if you play through Smash Wii U in the event, there's even like the original and then the Melee characters in Brawl. Like there's events just to fight the characters based on the games they originated from. And I think they need to continue that. They need to keep every character that they can, and I say they can because third parties there might be some brouhaha. And I think they need to bring back every cut character that they've ever had, which is not that many at this point. We got Wolf and we've got Young Link, which could be a Majora's Mask based. We've got Ice Climbers definitely need to come back. No more 3DS restrictions, and they need to take these characters and they need to expand on them. The Inklings being one. I'd like to see more representation for some franchises. Others have a little too much, but don't cut. Just add to them. King DDD is good, but let's get King K. Rool to have another big, heavy, boss character. And Donkey Kong, has Donkey and Diddy. Let's get Dixie in there. You got Tropical Freeze coming out. Let's expand on the existing franchises and throw in others like ARMS. Throw in some older franchises. F-Zero has had Captain Falcon since the beginning. Let's get another racer or two in there. Metroid has had Samus and now Zero Suit Samus. But let's get some more characters in there from Metroid, especially with Metroid Prime 4 coming out. I mean, this is the perfect time to do it. So I want to see the Smash Wii U character slot with DLC all intact, add in all old characters that were cut, and then add in a bunch of new characters, at least 20 characters. Make them some Nintendo, make them some third party, make it a good, healthy amount, because you already have a base formation. I want to see all the stages in the game, every single stage be brand new. Every single fighting stage from every franchise. And then, as either DLC or unlockable, unlock every stage from the original Melee, Brawl, 3DS, and Wii U. Have every stage in the game. No need to cut stages. Obviously, Battlefield and Final Destination, they can be there right from the start. They have to be their staples. But just keep adding. Let's make it intense. Let's make the options there. And what would be nice? Bring back the custom stage. Bring back the custom stage thing from Brawl. That was a lot of fun. Why was it omitted? 3DS. But why? It's bring it back. As for a single player, there needs to be a single player adventure game. Subspace Emissary may not have been the most exhilarating thing in the world, but the cutscenes were awesome, and it gave you something else to do. It was an improvement over Melee's adventure mode. Let's get something like that back. Bring Smash Run back. Sure. Bring Smash Tour back. Sure. Smash Tour did something unique. It allowed you to have a stock battle where each stock was a different character. Let's make that a default thing. Let's make it so that you can pick 5 characters and the 5 stock, and that's your 5. And if you have 10 stock, it just, goes around. Let's do that. So each time you die, you're playing a different character. Make it more exciting. And if you knock out one guy with one character, now you have to fight him as another character. Also, tag battles would be kind of cool. Imagine having 2 people, Mario and Luigi, and Mario's getting low, like the Marvel vs. Capcom. You could swap out, and suddenly now Luigi's there at full health or 0%. And while Mario's in reserve, his percentage comes down a little bit. I think that could add a lot of things, like a lot of elements, because we've had stock, time, and coin for how many years now? Let's add new modes of battle. Like go balls to the wall on this. This is a celebration of Nintendo, and on top of that, we're approaching the 20-year anniversary for Smash. Smash launched in January 2019 or 2009, right? So
99.
So you're looking at 20 years of Smash. Celebrate it. Celebrate Nintendo's history. You want to sell 20 million units. You can't release a half-ass Smash. You have to release all in your face celebration, and you will move units. You will move, and on top of that, most importantly, you have it portable. Going to conventions, people having Switches with Smash will be huge while waiting in line for panels. People outside bringing their Switch, playing it in public will be word of mouth advertisement. It is huge, and you will get Switches outside more. You will get parties more with Smash. And online has to be stable. If you launch it in September with your paid online, it needs to be stable, because if that will be the telling game. Smash launches and the online is terrible, it's going to be an instant hit. It's going to be worse than Splatoon 2 not working, or Brawl even not working. It needs to be smooth. So that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think they kind of delayed their online service and stuff. So if they delayed it and then it still has problems, then we're going to have issues. So I've been saying for the longest time, I think Smash would be perfect to launch with the online service. But yes, Nintendo, don't screw that up, because it would be perfect, but it's also the perfect way to get a bad word out there as well, at negative press. So you want to make sure that it's done right. So we'll have to wait and see if it does indeed launch in September or later in the year or what. I'm sure we'll find out more details probably at E3. Maybe they'll even have a tournament at E3. I think that would be perfect. So lots of potential for things to come with that. I do want to mention some of the other stuff in the Nintendo Direct. So I'm not going to go through the whole list of announcements. We have the Direct chat on the channel. Obviously there are things for the 3DS, things for Switch, and so on. In general, I just wanted to get general thoughts that you all had on the Direct. Maybe pick out a couple highlights from the announcements, but not go through everything just for the interest of time. For me personally, I'll just say, in general, the 3DS, it's interesting to see some of the games that are coming out for it, and the fact that even one of them is out in 2019. So it really shows that they're trying to keep things going. I know Luigi's Mansion was one that was talked about as people why didn't they come to Switch? And while I do agree, I can also see the fact that they had the Dark Moon engine, and so they probably just kind of used that as well. So it's probably an easy one for them to do. I don't think I'm really getting anything for the 3DS out of the games there, except for Detective Pikachu. That's going to be the only one there. For Switch, I'm excited about some of the stuff that was coming. I think Mario Tennis Aces I might end up picking up. I haven't gotten a Mario Tennis game before. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is one that I'm definitely going to get as well. And I absolutely love Splatoon 2. So the fact that we're getting even more updates, including a first expansion pack, basically, is really cool. I still need to beat the single player in Splatoon 2. I'm getting stuck at some points, but I'm trying again and getting back into it, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm excited about the expansion pack, and I think it's cool. I think just the amount of support that they've given that game has been a lot of fun, and I think this expansion is worthy of a purchase because it is a pretty lengthy single player. Like the single player campaign in Splatoon 2, I don't know, it has what, 50-ish levels, maybe 60 max. I don't think near that much. This one has 80 missions in this campaign. And so there's a lot that seems to be to it. And it was a really cool trailer too. I love the music and everything. Like it was a little lengthy for folks that weren't into Splatoon. They're probably like, all right, let's get it over with. But I was digging it. I was like, this is cool music. I like this. This is good. So yeah, exciting stuff. Overall, it was a good Nintendo Direct. There's some interesting omissions like Fire Emblem and Yoshi, but I guess they're going to save those for E3 or something. So we'll have to wait and see with that.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing for me is that they really did cover a whole lot, I think, and which makes me think, wow, what are they holding back for E3 and for future announcements? So as weird enough, I'm actually, this made me more excited for the future because this was really cool, but I know that they probably have even better announcements in the future. So as far as what was announced, I like you, Hassan, I don't know if I'm really that excited about any of the 3DS stuff. I think it's cool that they are still supporting it, but at the same time, like part of me goes, man, just let it die. The Switch is new, it's exciting, and I think that's where the real money is. And it would be nice if some of these things were ported over to the Switch as well, because a lot of the games, like they did announce a couple of them that are, you know, coming out to both, and I think that's really cool, because some people don't have a Switch yet, and it's cool that they're still supporting that. I think especially for younger children, with the new 2DS and all that stuff, like it's cool that they're still supporting that. But at the same time, like for me, I'd rather keep, you know, rolling out games for the Switch instead. But Luigi's Mansion was fun, but I'm not gonna buy it again. It was gonna come out of nowhere. It was cool, but I think some of the ones that really stood out to me that I'm leaning toward getting or want to review or whatever. Definitely Mario Tennis Aces. I'm excited for a real Mario Tennis game. One of the biggest things that I thought was just a huge omission. There was a lot of different omissions in the last one, but was that you couldn't use motion control for that. And I love the fact that they're building that back in. It just like, this is like, I just forget that last one even happened. Like this is the real Mario Tennis game that we should be getting. And so that's going to be exciting. I know people have differing opinions on the ports from the Wii U. I think the biggest thing for me is that as long as they're not wasting their time, they're like putting their time into that instead of coming up with new games, I'm totally okay with it, because there are some excellent games on Wii U that a lot of people have no clue about because it didn't sell that well. And so games like Captain Toad, I'm excited for it to come. And I think Hyrule Warriors as well. I think both of those games are really good. And Captain Toad is one of the ones that I never finished, but I really, really enjoyed it. And part of me is like, should I buy it again on Switch just because that's the system I'm playing all the time now? And I can take it with me. I can play it on the go, because that was one of the things reasons I didn't play it as much on the Wii U, is because that kind of puzzle, the nature of it, I would have preferred to take it on the go. And now I can. And so I'm really tempted by possibly repurchasing it because of that very reason. And then Hyrule Warriors is just a great game. I played through it. I really enjoyed that game. I don't know if I'll get it again. I was surprised by stuff like South Park. I think that's a big third party that they're getting. It's already been out, but that means good things for the future and at the next iteration of it. And Splatoon 2, I love that they keep pushing forward. I've not been too much in the single player on this Splatoon. I played more of the single player, the last one. This Splatoon 2, I've been mostly online. And so, but the Octo stuff, like, that's really cool, and some people have been asking for a long time. And so that was cool that they're doing that, and they're still supporting it with all this free stuff. So yeah, overall I was pretty pleased, but I'm more excited about what they're going to announce in the future, because of what they left out of this one.
Yeah, what about you, Greg?
Yeah, like you, I was kind of expecting to hear something on Yoshi or like Fire Emblem, obviously. And I'll even repeat my previous predictions before Mario Maker. Where is it? Why we haven't yet? Gotta bring those people over. But um, overall, it was pretty solid direct. It was not a whole lot that I was actually looking forward to. 3DS side, obviously, it's good to have Luigi's Mansion and whatever the Bowser's Inside Story ports with the extra mode. Um, the biggest one that I was kind of surprised over there was like the WarioWare game. I really like the DS version, so I might try to pick up the new WarioWare game on the 3DS. But other than that, there wasn't really too much to really hold me over to really pursue continuing to play the 3DS. I don't even know if I'll even end up getting WarioWare despite enjoying that series. I'm not sure if it's going to go like the Mario Party Top 100 type route because they said they have like the different games from across the series, or if it's actually going to be more of a real single player like or multiplayer experience that the games are normally tied to. But from the Switch side, it was definitely the Octopath Traveler. Really enjoyed the demo and the game chat we had on it for even just a small demo. So I'm definitely excited to pick that up when it launches in July. And then that was the main headliner outside of Smash Brothers, but it is nice to see the Splatoon thing. It's like the only thing I did in Splatoon 2 was the story mode. Unlike Steve, still have not played a single multiplayer match. So I'm definitely considering picking up the story because I've really enjoyed that stuff so far, and I kind of like how they're doing a deep dive into things, some more parts of the characters that have been around since the first one. So definitely looking forward to that DLC pack. Yeah, that's the main ones that I really remember because those are the main ones that I'm interested in. So that's
Cool.
it.
What about you, Barry?
I mean, we talked about this in our direct chat, but there were a few standout titles for me. Octopath Traveler was probably the biggest. I can't wait to get that game. That has potential to be my game of the year this year. Although Smash is going to be an interesting contender.
I love with Octopath Traveler, like the fact that it was Project Octopath Traveler. So it was like, oh, what's the name going to be? What's it going to be? Oh, it's just Octopath Traveler. Oh, okay. Well, that's
yeah, you know what? People wound up knowing it as that so much that they're just like if they changed it to The Great Journey, people would be confused at this point. So Octopath Traveler, it works. And I'm very happy it's getting a physical collector's edition, which I have thankfully got to pre-order in. On the 3DS side, I'm shocked to see Mario and Luigi going into 2019 territory. That's shocking. I figured the majority of the games they have now were already in development. So it's like, all right, well, these are just the leftovers. We didn't want to tell the team to just put your hard work in, just making sure it's out. And this way they do show some support. Like Steve, it's interesting to see some of these dual games like Captain Toad and Sushi Strikers. So the Sushi was actually a 3DS game initially, and that moved to Switch. So I wonder if Captain Toad was the same thing. It was starting out as a 3DS port, and they moved it to Switch. But I like how they pointed in the direct that Captain Toad, did you know he was in Super Mario Odyssey? And it's even on the box art, like as seen in Super Mario Odyssey. It's like, yeah, come on. What is this?
That's right.
It's like, yeah, it was because they know like so many people didn't play the Wii U game, so they're like, okay, the guy that from Super Mario Odyssey, because we know you didn't buy the Wii U version because barely anybody did, but we know a lot of you bought Super Mario Odyssey, so we'll point that instead.
I thought that was just a really weird addition to the whole direct. But the rest of the games they showed off were quality titles, and they're all titles I planned on picking up. Some disappointments though through the direct, and I did cover this in the direct chat, but I'll cover here quickly. One, too many digital titles, digital only. Dylan was a digital only, although in Japan it's physical, and Okami HD has no reason being digital only when it's physical on every other system as well. I'm noticing Capcom seems to not be a fan of physical anymore, which really upsets me. Another omission is a lot of missed opportunities. Some of these ports are coming so late that they really should be compilations as opposed to just ports. I said this with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, should have had returns included. Make it worth its while, especially because it's launching at $60 when it originally launched at $50 on the Wii U. So it's $10 more for funky mode. Yay. On top of that, you have South Park, Stick of Truth should have been included. They included it with the PS4 and the Xbox One versions, and then later it even got a standalone physical copy. Why wasn't it included on the Switch? To me, that's just a glaring omission. Travis Strikes Again looks amazing, but where's No More Heroes 1 and 2? Like, they should put those out. Get new blood in them, get new people who didn't get to play the Wii originals. So I think there's some missed opportunities there with capitalizing on already games that you already have, especially because the Switch is like the port capital of the world at this point. Like, third-party support is great, and we're getting some third-party games at the same time. Valkyria Chronicles 4 and Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection and Mega Man 11 all spring to mind as, hey, it's coming on Switch the same time as these other games or other systems, which is great. But then we're getting ports like South Park, which is a year later. Payday 2, Doom, Skyrim. Like, all these ports that we've gotten and that we're getting are so after the fact. It's Wii U all over again in that respect. The Wii U launched, Mass Effect 3 and later on Need for Speed Rivals and stuff like that. They're all ports of games. Watch Dogs they got like a year later or something like that. They're all ports of games we've already seen. And it's interesting even if you look at Nintendo, forget third party. We were talking earlier about Nintendo first party carrying a system, which is what it had to do for the Wii and the Wii U. But you look at the Switch. The first year we had Zelda, which technically kind of was a port, but it was the same time. You had Odyssey, you had Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you had Splatoon 2, you had Mario and Rabbids, which was with a third party. You had Fire Emblem Warriors, which was with a third party. And then you had how many ports? You had Mario Kart 8 and you had Pokken Tournament. That's two ports in that first 2017 year and a bunch of new. So that was great. And now you look at the first half of this year and you have Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, you've got Hyrule Warriors, you've got Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, you've got Captain Toad. And what do you have new? You have Mario Tennis Aces, which is actually coming 6/22, so it's even into summer. You have Kirby Star Allies, and you have Nintendo Labo, which some people won't even consider as a real game. That's it. You have way more, like the ratio is more ports versus new, and I think that's where people are having a problem with ports. I do not think, Steve, you mentioned this, I do not think that ports take away from development of new games. Ports are handled by small teams that are just doing it. They're not taking away resources from brand new games. The problem is that we're having, at this point, this first half of the year, we're having way too many ports to brand new games ratio. And for people who didn't have the Wii U, that's fine. But for the Nintendo loyalists that did have a Wii U that played all these games or most of these games, then it's leaving months of dry spells. And if you turn to the third party, you're getting, oh man, you know what? You want Undertale? Great. Here it is. Now you can play. But I already played it on the PS4, or I already played it on the Vita or the PC. But this is our game this month, Undertale. Play. But I already played it. What do you have new for me? Let's see. What do you want? Okami, right? Yeah, Okami. But that we played that on the PS2 and the Wii and like all these other systems. There's nothing new, and that's a problem. And this Direct was a very port-heavy Direct. Octopath Traveler was a new title. Mario Tennis Aces was a new title. Smash Brothers is a new title. And for the Switch, Sushi Strikers. Yeah, Sushi Strikers is not going to carry this system. That's the problem. Versus how many ports were shown off? Virtually everything else. So I thought it was a great Direct. In our Direct chat, I did give it an 8.5, but I definitely see where people are having this problem with ports, and it does need to be addressed from third-party perspective and, more importantly, also a first-party perspective.
And that's why I kind of gave it a lower ranking, because me being the Nintendo loyalist, I played Hyrule Warriors, I played Tropical Freeze, so it's like, do I really want to buy them again? No, not particularly, but I do have Skyrim that I have not played, so that definitely will keep me busy for many hundreds of hours. So it's not like I have extended dry spell. It's just I have an awesome game to sink hours into.
But is that really a
Right.
selling point for a system? Hey, you've already played all our games, but don't worry, we have a game from 2010 that you can sink 100 hours into in 2018. You know, like that's not really selling it.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing is like it is true that some of the loyalists and people that play games all the time are probably wanting stuff all the time, and it's great to have something, but in a way they've kind of set themselves up for failure as well by having so many new games all the time throughout 2017, because like can they really keep that up, and can is like for the vast majority of gamers out there, like, do we need brand new huge titles every month? I don't like. I would probably like, the older I get, the more casual of a gamer I become, because I just don't have as much time as I used to, and I think I have plenty already. There's a lot of games that I haven't, like we were talking earlier, like Heston and I are still working through Splatoon single player edition, and I still haven't finished everything I could in Zelda, and I've far from completing everything I can in Mario Odyssey, and there's still some other games that I can go back to. I haven't even started Skyrim on Switch, and there's other aspects of other games that I still could go back to. I'm still going to be playing Rocket League all the time, and I got Xenoblade Chronicles that I got to buy, and
that'll last you a whole year at this rate, Steve.
Exactly, exactly. I think there's plenty of content already out there that if they have to go a few months without releasing a brand new huge game, I'm okay with that, because I've got plenty in my backlog that I can work through. And I think people are still buying brand new Switches like today, and so they've got this entire year of catalog that they can go back to as well. I think the biggest thing is that they do have these games coming out, and I think the biggest thing is that they packed. I still think into the future, they packed this direct with all this stuff. That means they have stuff to fill E3 and other directs that they come out with. So my guess is, maybe I'm being too hopeful, is that that's going to come at E3, that they're going to come out the Yoshi and the Fire Emblem and all these other things that they left out. They kind of push this stuff into this direct because they have all this other things that we're looking for that's going to come in E3. And they're going to say, okay, you want this? It's coming out. You want this? It's coming out. You want this? It's coming out. And that's when they can really push that. And maybe I'm just being really hopeful. Maybe that's not going to happen at all, but it seems to make sense.
It does make sense.
I mean, you'll have to wait and see. Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, if they had their E3 Direct filled with these ports, people would be like, what the heck? Why am I watching Nintendo? It's like they're just going to announce all these really old games coming to 3DS and Switch. I mean, what's going on here? Obviously, they're going to talk about Fire Emblem. Maybe there's Animal Crossing. There's lots to build on with Smash Brothers. I mean, I think they pretty much know what they're doing and how they organize the way that they're going to be releasing some of these announcements. So I think they're setting up a big E3 show with a lot more unique titles to be shown.
See, Steve, you mentioned something. You mentioned that for you have plenty in your backlog, so it's fine with a few months of ports and stuff, and that makes sense for you. What you are missing is, like, you described yourself as a little more casual, and I agree. As I got older, a little more casual, playing games on easier difficulties just to enjoy them, stuff like that. But when the Switch was first announced, it was heralded as a phenomenal reveal because it didn't show kids. It showed adults. And the system definitely seemed to be marketed at adults. Going on planes and driving in cars and, going to rooftop parties. And it followed the entire first year was all adult-oriented games, not necessarily M-rated, but there was a lot of hardcore stuff. It filled the need of the hardcore gamer. And the casuals were able to enjoy it too. Now the problem is that Nintendo seemed to, we are advertising this system to the hardcore, and their casual blue ocean strategy, which is what the Wii used, is what Labo is. And what they stated, there's more besides Labo of other devices. That's their blue ocean. That's this is not for the hardcore, this is for the kids, and that's different. But the hardcore now are the people who did play those games. The hardcore are the ones that have played Skyrim in 2010 and played South Park Stick of Truth Fractured But Whole last year and played Payday 2 a couple years ago, etc. So they want those new experiences. They want that one big new game a month on the Switch because they're probably playing multiple consoles at the same time. And the Switch might be their portable. They might be playing it on the go and they want something big to play. It's Nintendo's fault for advertising to the hardcore right away, gaining that hardcore momentum, and then dropping the ball for those hardcore, catering, oh, the casual are okay. It's still selling. It's still selling is not like an excuse to slack off. In fact, it's the worst thing. And that's what's happened in this industry. You look at the PlayStation 2, that sold gangbusters. And what did Sony do? They followed up that success with the PS3, which was a bomb at launch. The 360 was phenomenal. It sold great. And then what happened? They followed that up with the Xbox One, which was a bomb at launch. The Wii, same thing. Phenomenal. Followed it up with the Wii U. Was a bomb the entire life. So you look at the Switch now. It's coming out of the gate great. But if they get too comfortable, well, it's still going to keep selling. Let's get another Wii U port in there. They don't need another new game. The casuals haven't played it yet. That's a problem. They need to alternate. They need to cater to both audiences if they want true success. Or people will sell the Switches. Remember, if someone bought a system, they could always sell it. It's not a guaranteed stayed customer.
But Barry, also remember the fact that I agree that it should be a balance. But I do think there's a lot of core gamers that are asking for those ports. Any game that's announced, one of the first responses is, but when's it coming to Switch? When's it coming to Switch? So all these games that are coming out, that's a big thing that everybody wants those ports too. So it's kind of Nintendo's giving the ports, but it's got to be that balance, I think.
Yeah, it's balanced. I'm not complaining about the ports. There's too many.
Right.
Well, and you have a bunch of Nintendo hardcore gamers that, yes, we bought something that still sounds weird to me because it's been such a disconnect over the last several years, but true Nintendo gamers who did get the Wii U and they played as many Wii U games as they can, but there is a huge hardcore audience that did not get a Wii U, clearly. And so for those people that even are hardcore gamers that consider themselves, they're brand new games for them because the Wii U bombed. And so there's a lot of people that these still are brand new games, even for quote hardcore gamers. And so I think there should be a balance, clearly. I think maybe I'm just still hoping and holding on to that will happen at some time in the near future, probably E3. But yeah, I don't know. I still think I agree. I think they just set themselves up too much, maybe almost like they should have backed off a little bit in their first year. They can't top
2017. How can you top that?
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is they just set us up thinking, oh, wow, we're going to bam, 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 all these great games. And we're like, okay, we keep that going for the next 5 years then. And they were like, oh, wait, okay, back to reality. That's near impossible. Okay, this is back to how we actually can keep it up for the next several years.
Well, what I think is that because they stated they wanted to sell 20 million, which is more than the first year, they need to bring out some big guns. And Smash Brothers is certainly a big gun. I think Yoshi was supposed to come out in the spring, but I think either development delays or it was too similar to Kirby and they didn't want the two of them to come out. So I think that was delayed. And I'm guessing another game was supposed to come out in the spring that was also a brand new title, maybe a Mario Party or something like that. And that also hit development snag, so they had to push it. So all they were left with were Kirby, Mario Tennis, and some ports. And I think it's an unfortunate thing. But I also think that means the back half of this year is going to be jam-packed. I think Fire Emblem is going to come. Smash is going to come. Yoshi's is going to come. That's 3 months right there. If there's a Mario Party or something, that's a 4th month. If Bayonetta 3 comes out, if Pokemon comes out, that's the whole second half of the year. Yeah, Animal Crossing could come out. But the point is I think the back half of this year is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be new game, and they're going to push it to the holiday, and that's fine. But I do think there were delays for the spring because the first half of this year definitely is lacking in some ways.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what happens at E3 and what's to come. Obviously, the first year of the Switch, lots of good. There's some room for improvement with moving things forward, that sort of thing, and we'll have to kind of see what happens going forward. Alex Desmarais in the chat says, honestly, I think it's going to be expect the unexpected for E3. So hopefully, fingers crossed. Nintendo seems to be doing at least some things right with the Switch, so hopefully they'll continue that. But I do want to talk about one other news story that's kind of late breaking right before the podcast. There's a new firmware update for the Nintendo Switch. So version 5.0, which unfortunately is slightly misleading because you think it goes from 4.1 or whatever to 5.0. It's going to be big. Well, not so much. But I do want to talk about what's in it. First of all, it does include a fix for that little glitch that was there for, if it had been over a year of you playing a game, your playtime on the activity log kind of reset again. The data was still saved. You just looked like you were starting over or whatever. So there's a fix in this update that's there for that. But the main features are that Facebook and Twitter friends that also use the Nintendo Switch can now be added through friend suggestions. Using the Nintendo Switch Parental Controls app, you can add specific software titles to your whitelist to exclude them from the console's parental controls. Captured videos in the album will be restricted by parental controls depending on your restricted software settings. To keep the parental controls pin private, the default method for pin entry has been changed to using a control stick and buttons instead of the on-screen number pad, blah, blah, blah. Select 24 new ARMS and Kirby series icons for your users. So if you're into the icons, there you go. Finally, ARMS and Kirby. Digital software purchases made from a PC or smart device will start downloading sooner than previously, even if the Nintendo Switch console is in sleep mode. Receive notification when pre-purchased software is ready to play. Filter news to view only unread news or news from specific channels. And
that's good.
That actually is kind of nice. And I did check out my Nintendo Switch. You kind of open up the news app, you click on press the Y button for channel list, and then it's got the channels there, that sort of thing, which definitely is very helpful. And then the last thing, which I kind of think is pretty neat, although it's not really a feature, but Nintendo Switch Pro Controller grip colors will now display in the controller's menu. So before, the controller's menu would show you the color of the Joy-Con. Now it'll show you the color of your Pro Controller, like if you have the Splatoon one, the pink and green, grips or whatever on the Pro Controller. So, little things, nothing major really in this update. So I don't know if they're just saving all the big features to come with their online service later or what, but new update out now. I don't know. Anything here that you guys are super excited about?
The news thing is the most exciting thing because I never check that thing because it gets overwhelming. And when you add, the thing that I don't like is when I've added a Japan account and a Europe account, because I want the ability, if I want to get some, games off that eShop, or sometimes we get review copies and they're the other region. And so I need to get it from that eShop. But it just like floods my entire thing. And I get like multiple copies of different news and sometimes languages. And it's got to the point where I just don't even check the news. I know there's cool stuff in there, but I just have avoided it because of just the mass chaos it is. So honestly, that's the thing that I'm most excited about. There's not a whole lot other than the online thing that I would rather them add. I like the idea of folders. It's not that big of a deal to me, but I think folders would eventually be cool. And I want some other themes other than white and black. Is that too much to ask? You keep popping them out on 3DS. Give us some themes. Give us some themes on the Switch.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. I think my most favorite part is like the new icons. I like to change it up every once in a while. I've changed it around. So I'm not particularly a fan of Kirby or ARMS, but it's nice to have more options though. So great to see that they're continue building the selection. But yeah, I wish there was better folders, themes, stuff that's already exists on the previous hardwares, and it's not here yet. I don't know why it's so difficult to add. I mean, need a way to organize the games instead of just scrolling way right to find that game Legend of Zelda that I played whatever at the beginning of the year last year. So, well, I guess maybe that's coming down the line.
I'm mainly happy with the fix to that glitch, just because it was so disheartening to see Zelda change to played 0 days ago. Like, no. I'm waiting. On the next, I think 5.0.1. I'm sure like Nintendo's gonna add like Zune support and stuff like that. Like they're slowly catching up to the times. We might got like an iPod Classic, edition or something. I don't know.
You can add your friends from
Kindle
MySpace.
Fire. Yeah, MySpace can connect, and you can use a Kindle Fire through the Switch and stuff like that. They're slowly getting up there. I think you might be able to play MP3s as well.
I do like the Facebook and Twitter friends. Like that's handy.
Yeah.
Because the stupid friend code thing is still going to kick around. But if they can, I guess, like bring in other ways to find friends without having to type that stupid thing in, I guess like I'm more okay with it. But I still don't get the point. But especially like if you're gonna bring all these other ways, like just give us a name. Like that's all I'm asking for. But like,
you know what they're gonna do
beside
next
the point.
time? Next time they're gonna allow you to find your friends through Tinder.
Swipe right to friend me on Switch.
Yeah, no, I do agree that it's nice to have those other options. I already sent a couple friend requests to people that I had from, and even from like other mobile apps and stuff. People I had on Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, or whatever. There's one YouTuber and stuff. She has a whole ton of subscribers. She added me in Animal Crossing or something. Now I can send her a friend request on the Switch. I don't know if she'll add me, but that'd be cool. That's how I have one of the Power Rangers added actually because I had them on the 3DS or something. So I like the different options of like having the the ability to send friend requests and stuff.
I don't know, Hassan. You're a married man. You're pretty excited to get that female YouTuber on your Switch. I don't know.
No. It's Brizzy Voices. Shout out to Brizzy Voices. Anyone else check her out? She's a voice actress. She's pretty cool. Now it's always those little things are always nice, but a little misleading to have it in a 5.0 update and not like 4.2 or something. Like, come on, Nintendo. We're all waiting for the goods, and then that's what you give us. But I don't know. They'll figure it out one day, maybe.
One day.
So we'll have to wait and see, what else comes from it in the future. But that about wraps up all the announcements and everything and all the discussion from this episode tonight. I did want to mention one other thing, though, to kind of end the episode, a little bit of an announcement, I guess. Barry's already given me this look. Everybody's giving me this look now.
Don't do it.
No, we're just gonna cut it off right here. Thanks for watching, everybody.
It happens everywhere. I'm just not allowed to say it, and I have to force myself to keep coming back.
See, it's like Steve, Greg, and I are like the three monkeys. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. So therefore, you can't do anything because we don't acknowledge it, so it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist.
No, but yeah, basically, I came to the decision. NintendoFuse has been, great community, and I've been with the site through many iterations from back when it was Wii Nintendo and so on, over a decade. I think I was mentioning to Steve earlier. So, been a while, but I think I'm at that point in my life right now where I just have, so many other different things going on, different priorities and different things that my full energy and my full attention is not towards, the podcast and that sort of thing. And I don't feel like I can half-heartedly do this. I feel like there's so much more potential and I want to see this thing grow even more. And there's so many great things that this community is doing. And so I made the decision to kind of step away from NintendoFuse. And so the next podcast next month will be the last one that I'm officially part of, so to speak. I would love to, every now and then pop back in and join in on different things. So this is not like the last of me that you're ever going to see. I'll still be around. And obviously I love the community and you all are great friends and stuff as well. So I will definitely be around and we'll be playing games together and, for sure be a part of this community in that way. So, but just as the, podcast host, so to speak, in that official capacity on the NintendoFuse team, I'll be stepping down from that after the next podcast. But
Don't listen
But
to him,
yeah.
guys. We're going to chain him into the basement. He's not going anywhere.
I think we should start a plan like 5,000 likes to keep Hassan around,
Yeah,
maybe something like
there you
that. Yeah, there's a little contest there.
No, but I appreciate all the all the comments and everything from people over the years, and definitely excited to see where things go from here. Obviously, it's a good time to be a Nintendo fan, as I said. So it's a good time to see where things go from here. Definitely looking forward to it. So with that being said, thank you again to everybody that hopped in the chat and joined us as well. And we'll be back next month. Who knows? What we'll have to discuss since then. I know Kirby Star Allies will be out, at that since then. Whatever else, Detective Pikachu. I don't know. We'll figure out what we end up talking about depending on what's interesting at the time. But stay tuned to NintendoFuse.com for all the latest. Check out the YouTube channel for all the game chats and direct chats and everything else that we do on the channel. There's a lot of great content there, so definitely hit that subscribe button and check it out. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Good night.
See ya.
Bye.